The next honored one, meant to fill the shoes of Gojo Satoru, is here, a genius with the potential to rival and impress two ancient era sorcerers with his ability to grow at an insane rate in less than 2 months. Higuruma Hiromi is without a doubt one of, if not the, only awakened sorcerer in the modern era worth any kind of praise or notice from the greats. In the most recent part of the Kill Sukuna arc, it's no secret we've been on red alert for Higuruma's life. Rightfully so, it seems. And in this video, I want to dissect how beautiful of an ending this man got, and the kind of potential Higuruma had as a character that was stolen from us just way too early. Let us all leave a prayer and give a moment of silence for the GOAT, public defender, and the long dick of the law himself, Higuruma Hiromi. Leave a like on the video to pay your respects. Subscribe if you enjoy content like this, as I sincerely hope you don't want to see more of it. But most importantly, as always, thank you for watching. Since his introduction, there wasn't a single lick of hatred thrown towards Higuruma's direction. From chapter 159, the moment Higuruma had his backstory laid out before us, it was clear this man's got depth. And while I do want to get heavily into Higuruma's original breakdown and how he lost his way as a lawyer, right now, I want to focus on his potential and overall development as a sorcerer. As someone with a unique curse technique, just like Hikari Kinji, Higuruma's innate ability completely revolves around his domain expansion. Deadly Sentencing, Higuruma's domain, completely mirrors his sense of justice and brings out the true realization of Higuruma's soul. Whether he likes to admit it or not, Higuruma makes a great judge and knows everything that's required of one. In less than 2 weeks, without any knowledge of sorcery whatsoever, the lawyer worked backwards and, from his domain, deconstructed barrier techniques down to cursed energy reinforcement, working his way up to the power level of an average grade 1 sorcerer, something that would have been impressive on its own, even if Higuruma didn't have such a disadvantage with his technique. And Higuruma wasn't only grade 1 rank in name either. The new sorcerer could gain 100 points in the culling game and conquer other sorcerer players and people alike. Even though it's shown Higuruma did murder civilians, to gain that high of a point count, he clearly eliminated a handful of curse users as well. So not only could he just use barriers and cursed energy in practice, Higuruma was talented enough to actually best others in combat. Higuruma, blinded by his mental breakdown and twisted justice, brought down the hammer of judgment on those who crossed his path without a second thought. And despite Itadori waking Higuruma up from his slumber in the darkness, the chaos of the culling game didn't cease to cause evolution in its participants. As immediately after choosing to ally himself with the protagonist, Higuruma watched Gojo vs Sukuna unfold with all the others. And in that viewing, Higuruma saw two of the greatest sorcerers that ever lived duke it out with no holds barred. The lawyer finally having a chance to witness a duel between greats, to not only show him how proper sorcerer fights are held, but explain even broader concepts of sorcery to him. In fact, after just seeing the ability done in front of him and getting a short explanation of it from Kusakabe, Higuruma was able to bring out domain amplification in the heat of battle against Sukuna of all people, to the degree that Higuruma could even keep his executioner's sword alight, as Sukuna confirms it took all of his care and precision to not interrupt Maharaga's adaptation when he was using domain amplification. So if Higuruma can do it, well damn, that almost puts him on Sukuna's level. Higuruma even takes this a step further, and after he gets his arms chopped off by Sukuna, the King of Curses challenges the lawyer to use reverse curse technique and heal. And not only is RCT rare enough on its own, using it at a level where one can completely regrow limbs is another difficulty entirely. And yet, back against the wall, proving that even in 2 months, a sorcerer with insane talent like this can be born way more than once every 1,000 years, as Higuruma again surpasses his limits and learns the regeneration technique on the fly. And it's this evolution alone that proves if Higuruma was fully watered and allowed to blossom, he could, without a doubt, be a sorcerer that rivaled even Satoru Gojo. I mean, think about it. If this is the kind of skill Higuruma can acquire in only 2 months, Give the man a year. Heck, give him 5. Similar almost to the cursed spirit Mahito. The potential might be unlimited with characters like this, as getting closer to death does not discourage them. In fact, situations like this specifically level them up, harking all the way back to even when Satoru Gojo had his Honored One moment, awakening his inner talent, as sometimes it takes hitting a wall to know you need to bust through it. The insane rate of growth may completely stem from Higuruma discovering his true purpose and no longer being lost in his mental anguish. As when we first encountered Higuruma, despite having insane growth, training, and fighting solo as it was, the man was clearly on the wrong path. When starting out his career in law, Higuruma Hiromi was well known amongst his peers as a hopeless lawyer, someone who would take the most outlandish criminal cases and do his best to fight for people that stood no chance against the system. Not because he liked taking hard cases or ruining his reputation, but because he believed the people he defended were truly innocent. However, the problem was, Higuruma fought so hard he would actually inspire hope in those clients. And when you give hope to the hopeless, they might just find out all that hope was for nothing. And at the end of it, they might just curse you for giving them hope in the first place. Because sometimes the hopeless would rather just accept their fate and buckle down than fight a losing battle. And after one too many losses, one too many clients looking back at Higuruma with disgust for even daring to try, it sparked something in the young lawyer's mind, springing Higuruma's awakening as a sorcerer and snapping every sense of sanity the man had left. Once a lawyer who pledged to fight against the system and keep his eyes open, now became a judge, blinding himself and shutting his eyes in order to deal out his own sentences if the system wouldn't properly do it. This new judge Higuruma is the same Higuruma we encounter who acquired over 100 points, sending people to the Shadow Realm with his curse technique. Anyone unlucky enough to wander into Higuruma's path would be judged by him and his new Shikigami Judgeman. An extension and the full realization of Higuruma's new blind sense of justice, picking random crimes and forcing the charges on people without leaving any room for nuance. This is, at least, until Higuruma encounters Itadori Yuji, a sorcerer that embodies everything Higuruma used to fight for when he was a lawyer and before he spiraled out of control. Itadori, guilt-ridden and ready for his own execution, boldly admits to the murder of thousands in Shibuya, despite not being the one who committed the crime. And even though Higuruma has the evidence in his hand that shows Itadori did not do it, with Yuji's confession, Judgeman makes the call immediately. Blind justice is blind justice. No room for nuance. A judge with his eyes blinded wouldn't be able to see the truth in this capital punishment. But even as Higuruma holds that executioner's sword in hand, he can't help but know the sentencing is wrong. No matter how deep Higuruma has been plagued into the darkness, he refused to continue down this path. Instead of killing Yuji, Higuruma opens his eyes once more, remembering why he got into law in the first place. To help guilt-ridden fools like Yuji fight a system rigged against them, not let the system roll over them without any second thoughts. It's for this reason that even after Higuruma joins the protagonist's side, he refuses to look Yuji in the eyes. It's a reminder that Higuruma lost his way and fell into the abyss. However, it's poetic here that, as Higuruma is dealt his last breath, he can openly and confidently look at his defendant Yuji with a smile. Because this last death sentence, the one against Sukuna, wasn't achieved by Higuruma bringing down judgment. It was a result reached from Higuruma opening his eyes and doing what he's always strived to do. Fight with his eyes open and defend the innocent. A change in Higuruma's resolve that's made very apparent by Judgeman looking at the courtroom with one eye torn open. As this time going into trial, instead of like all the previous victims that Higuruma judged indiscriminately, Higuruma summons Judgeman and the deadly sentencing domain in order to act as a lawyer, to act as a defender of Itadori, and using the evidence given to him not for his own benefit, but to prove someone else's innocence and actually commit real justice. In my opinion, this is why Higuruma is able to accept his role and die happily. He has finally reached redemption. The last moments of Higuruma's life were spent using his new sorcerer powers not to judge another, but to use his knowledge of the law to defend a client and carry out punishment on someone actually evil. And now, as life slips away from Higuruma, he can die like the rest of our protagonists, having no regrets and happily leaving everything to the next generation. Higuruma's death, in fact, casts a reflection of Kento Nanami, leaving behind his executioner's sword, his curse of judgment to Itadori Yuji, the boy who saved him from the darkness. And as Todo once said, looking for meaning in our partners' deaths can only muddy their memories. A Jujutsu sorcerer, something Higuruma Hiromi surely was, is never truly dead as long as his comrades are right behind him carrying out his will. And as Itadori grasps Higuruma's final curse, and the lawyer's theory that a curse grows stronger in death runs through his mind, Yuji stabs that executioner's blade with all of his might into Sukuna, knowing Higuruma's sacrifice is what got them to this point. Carrying out Higuruma's final verdict is respect enough. Anyway, guys, Higuruma Hiromi, one of my favorite characters in Jujutsu Kaisen, and I'm sure yours too, is dead. He went out like a fucking badass. One of the most complete and satisfying character arcs in Jujutsu Kaisen. Pay your respects by hitting this video with a like, subscribe if you enjoy this type of content, and most importantly, thank you for watching to the end. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.